All right, welcome back. In this module, we are going to be talking about evictions. Now, I know as the owner of investment rental real estate, this is one of the scariest things. And I want to lay out the process in no uncertain terms so that you can protect yourself in the eventuality that you're going to have to evict somebody. So let's dive in and let's talk about it. The number one reason you're going to have to evict people is non-payment of rent. So the process there, you must give proper notice. Now, again, I know I've harped on this for the entire course. You have to understand your state's laws around evictions. There are some states that tend to gear their laws towards the landlord and favor the landlord in eviction process. There are some states that tend to lean towards the tenant when it comes to favorability in the eviction process. You need to know what state you live in and who they're going to favor in the process and how to protect yourself. So your next step is to become aware of the eviction process in your specific state. Giving proper notice, the state will outline the amount of notice that you need to give. In some states, it's 30 days. In some states, it's 90 days. You need to be aware of that. The next step in the eviction process is filing a forcible detainer with the courthouse. There will be a hearing in place where you will share why you're evicting that tenant. In this case, it's going to be because of non-payment. You will then get an action from the judge to evict the tenant, which is your legal permission to kick that person out of your home, which will be given in a writ of restitution. Now, other reasons why you may have to evict your tenants. Maybe they abandon the home. It's not unheard of for a landlord to show up to see why rent's not being paid and no one's living in the rental property, even though the lease isn't up. So that's a process by itself. You follow a very similar procedure, but you need to make sure that you've legally evicted the tenant before you put that property back on the market to rent out again. You may have some non-rent reasons why you're evicting your tenants. This could include things like domestic violence. It could include things like abuse to the property. The list goes on, but there are guidelines that are specific to your state on why you can evict people for non-rent related reasons. But again, there is a legal process that you have to go through. You have to provide proper notice to the tenant. You have to file a forcible retainer, go through the hearing, get the actions and the writ of restitution, just like in the rent related reasons for evicting. Now, this is a good place to talk about when tenants move out at the end of their lease. It's good practice to require written notice of the exact move-out date from your tenant. To avoid misunderstandings over why money was deducted from the tenant's security deposit, you must give them a list of move-out charges before the tenant actually moves out. And you know what? It's not a bad idea to include that in your lease that they sign from the get-go. The tenant is usually motivated to do everything necessary to get their deposit back as long as they know about it. So this goes back to communication. So important that they have that information up front, which just creates a better situation when the tenant moves out. Let's talk about early lease cancellations. If a tenant needs to terminate their lease early, offer them the opportunity to buy out their lease. Usually that includes the tenant paying a fee. Remember that it's going to cost you money when the tenant moves out to remarket the property, get it fixed up into condition to where it's ready to be rented out again. So usually that fee would be 2 months or more of rent. If the tenant agrees to that, the landlord releases the tenant from any further obligations. Also, it's a good idea to inspect the property once it's vacant before releasing the security deposit to the tenant, just to make sure that they did everything that they should have. Look, I know that evictions are a big scary thing and no one wants to have to do them, but in investment rental real estate, it's inevitable that you're going to have to deal with it once or twice. So hopefully this content has helped you protect yourself as you go about having to evict non-performing tenants. Thank you for joining me in this module. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing. If you want to learn even more about this topic, hop on a free one-on-one strategy call with us. All you have to do is visit flippin.education to book your call today. That's flippin.education. Hope to see you there. And until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.